Welcome to another episode of the IFC's Individuation podcast. I am Dr. Lahab Al-Samarrai, and this is Dr. Tomlinson. And today we have a very special program for you. We are going to discuss our upcoming conference, our event at the Institute for Conflict, which kicks off next Wednesday and goes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so I wanted to talk about some of the aspects of what we're doing at the conference. Of course, we still have tickets for anybody who's interested. If you're interested on being online, you could always, if you want to watch it through Zoom, you can't be with us in Seattle. We welcome you. It's just write us an email to the Institute for Conflict, one word, at gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible in terms of how to get the Zoom link and how to participate at the conference. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, but before I say anything, I want to welcome Dr. Tomlinson. Dr. Tomlinson, how are you today and what's going on?
I'm doing well, and welcome and to everyone. And I just want to make sure of something. It's next Thursday through Saturday, correct?
Correct. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Did I say Wednesday?
Yeah, you said Wednesday through.
Okay. No, thank you for the correction. Yes, it's Thursday, Friday. It's the 14th, 15th, and 16th of October. If you want more information about it, you just go to the www.instituteforconflict.com. And it will take you, just click on RSVP or registration page. It'll take you through. You can also check out our schedule, which is one of the things that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what people are going to be presenting at the conference and how the presentations are going to go. We have a very unique format this year that we are going to start with. So Lisa, Dr. Lisa Hong has finally joined us from the space station. That's the Russian space station. You know, they're filming it right now. They've sent a Russian crew.
Yeah, I didn't take
for whatever reason, I don't know how Dr. Lisa Hong got on that schedule, and she went up with them because she always comes back late. I think it's just delayed. It's delayed because of the space station. So you're at the space station. Tell us what's going on at the space station, Lisa.
Future's looking bright.
See, I told you. She can see a lot from there. Okay, so I'm just we just started talking, Lisa, about the conference and about the conference next week and our schedule for the conference. And what we're planning to do at the conference. Would you like to say anything in that regards, or?
Well, we're really excited to present to everybody our findings and our journey through JAMP, and in particular. And I think we have a lot of interesting perspectives to present to you, everyone. Hope you can join us and invite other people who are just curious, who are in the healthcare industry, mental health care industry in particular. We're talking about teachers, any type of
mental health workers, SAS workers,
social workers,
caseworkers, people who work in clinics, people who work in outpatient settings, homeless.
Or special demographics.
We've worked with young adults, runaways who have residential care in different parts of the city of Seattle. So we've worked with a very wide range of different, a wide range of population in terms of who we've seen, what we have used the treatment for. So it's not an exclusive elite treatment for those who have monies. That is part of it. I mean, we do cater to that, but we also have this vast network of new coaches who work with people on a sliding scale. We also have students who we're training in the treatment method, in the Jungian advanced motor processing treatment method. And they take also a sliding scale, a very nominal fee. So go ahead, Lisa, you have, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I just, where was I going with that? I was just inviting anyone and everyone who's curious, people who just have even casual conversations about just, you know, my mom does this. Oh, I know that I do this because it came from my mom. Even casual conversations, people who are interested in dream work, my dreams, or I'm curious about this, or I've been reading Carlos Castaneda or Florinda Donor, or anybody. Like you talk to anybody who, there's many genres, and I think that this conference can touch on many different interests that can resonate with many different peoples.
People who are interested in psychedelic treatment, people who are interested in alternative treatments would be very interested in this treatment. It's a different treatment. It stimulates the brain in a very different way, and it helps in different ways. And we know that one of the most screaming issues of the day, and I think Dr. Eric might talk a little bit about it. He was telling me before we started, we have a lot of veterans who are coming back from wars, who have witnessed horrendous things. They've witnessed children blowing up, they've witnessed houses blowing up, people, their comrades in arms, city blocks, they've witnessed bombings, they've witnessed shootings, they've witnessed all kinds of horrific type of acts during the time of war. And now they're coming back, and they're coming back in numbers because the Afghani war is over. The Iraq war is pretty much dwindled down to a couple of battalions. A lot of them are coming home. And that means that we have more trauma on the streets of our cities because our citizens are coming back and treatment is limited. So we would like to say that we are open to treating veterans. I mean, this is a given, we're open, but we want to let them know, if anybody's listening or if you want to pass on the message, that we're very happy to take in veterans and treat trauma. This is some of the like bread and butter of what JAMP does. This is the thing that makes JAMP beautiful. It works on the worst parts of the trauma. Well, Dr. Eric, you have some thoughts that you were telling me earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's people who have witnessed the very things that you mentioned, as well as other things that are even more horrible. It doesn't matter it really doesn't make that much of a difference how well your childhood was. These things are so damaging that, I mean, I interact with a local veterans group to some extent, and I'm talking about individuals who are unable to look you in the eye and speak, individuals who are zombie-like. There's a zombie-like effect to them because they can't put together the thoughts with the feelings. They're separated. And that happens because of the two parts of the brain that dominate those two characteristics. The right-hand brain, the right hemisphere with emotions, the left hemisphere with language. And that connection by trauma is severely damaged. And they don't have the same level of connections. And one of the things we'll be talking about at the conference is the specific areas of the brain that get damaged by trauma. And then subsequent to that part of the discussion, we'll talk about the different kinds of interventions that need to happen to treat each and every one of those areas of the brain specifically for the damage that was caused there, because it's not a one approach that fits all. You have many different parts of the brain that are damaged. Each one of those parts that are damaged needs its own specific type of interaction and intervention. And that means you have to include all of the senses. And that's what JAMP is doing. And it's reconnecting those two halves so that the individuals can function with both sides working again. It's all very, very well documented in medical journals.
So we're going to go through the schedule. I'm going to go through it lightly just to have everybody know what the conference is going to look like and who's going to be speaking and what they're going to be speaking about. So real quick, so it starts at 8:30. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to have a welcoming from the JAMP coaches are going to introduce themselves and welcome everybody to the conference. Then I am going to do an introduction on Jungian advanced motor processing and the theory so far, because it's a new theory. It's a child. It's about 1-year-old. So what we've learned so far from this treatment and what we look forward to learn. Then we're going to have Joan Cartelis. She is one of a client of JAMP that she's been in the treatment for over a year. She will talk about her experiences and her story of trauma and how she's managed and how she's worked through it and how JAMP came into her life and how that changed the way she thought of certain things. And the emphasis on this conference is going to be our clients telling their stories of how they experienced JAMP and how it made their life, it improved their life and made them feel better. So we're going to have, instead of like well-known speakers, we're going to have the people who are affected most by trauma talk about it and how the treatment works for them. We're going to have some lunch. We're going to have Christy Foster, who's a somatic therapist, who is also now a JAMP coach in training, talk about her experiences working with soma and trauma. We're going to have the JAMP Transformational Coach Training Program talk about what we've been doing and how we're growing and what we look forward to do and how many more people we look forward to train. Marty Murphy is going to talk about, she's the author, she's an author, and she's going to talk about her book. And she's also an EFT specialist. She talks about emotional freedom techniques. Very, very deep insight into how tapping changes us and how this is all interrelated with the other things that we do in JAMP. As Dr. Eric said, we work on all senses. It closes at 4, and then we have a welcoming party for everybody at a restaurant actually near us. We're going to have food and we're going to have wine and drinks to those who would join us. Next day starts also with breakfast, and then we have our keynote speaker, another client of ours who suffered trauma. And he's going to tell his story and how JAMP transformed his life. We're going to talk about the JAMP Training Institute, our new company that we've created to encompass all things that have to do with JAMP training, supervision, coaching, referrals, treatments. We're going to have some lunch, and then we have Marty and myself talk about how JAMP and tapping and these techniques of stimulating the left-right hemisphere, that left-right connection works and how it really transforms us. Then Dr. Eric is going to be speaking about how the brain works and how JAMP makes the brain work and what changes in the brain and why those changes affect us. And then Dr. Lisa is going to present with another client of ours about his experiences and her experience as a coach and what that meant to her and what it meant to him. Then we're going to close that day. And then Saturday, we have breakfast also. We have 9 o'clock, we have Rachit Tumar from New Delhi, who's going to speak about our new creation, which is our own treatment site for young and advanced motor processing. And we've made some modifications and upgrades that I think people will find very fascinating. And we're going to talk more about that. Then at 10 o'clock, we're going to have another client, Donald Morris. He's also been in the JAMP treatment for over a year. He's going to talk about his experiences and what they mean to him and how JAMP has transformed his life. JAMP is a very short-term treatment. We have Donald and he likes to be called Don and Joan, who have been in the treatment for longer than they wanted in-depth look at their own psyche. So that's been a deep dive into something else. But JAMP in general, the treatment takes maximum of 12 treatments for almost complete relief of symptoms and triggers. Dr. Tanya Bibbs will be speaking at 11 o'clock. We hope. We were hoping she would be here live, but COVID is taking a toll, so I'm not sure she's going to be here. Maybe she will give us a presentation from the city of Chicago. Then we have lunch, and George Kurian, who is also wanted to, he's a friend of the Institute, a partner of the Institute. He makes documentary films in very, very dicey places. So his last one was about the refugees who were crossing illegally, Syrian refugees crossing into Europe in boats. And so he made a follow-up of what happens after they get off the boats and how their lives are now. So it's like a post view of his first movie. We were hoping to show it and have him answer questions, and we're not sure if we still have him or not, but we hope to. Then we're going to have JAMP previews. We're going to talk about different things coming up in young and advanced motor processing and where we're thinking of taking it. And then we're going to talk about how this all interrelates to the one world theory. Why JAMP is just another clog in this machine that we call the Unus Mundus, and what that means. One world. What does it mean to be in one world? And how does JAMP treatment work to make it a one world? Right? So, and then we're going to talk more about young and advanced motor processing, and then we're going to have a cocktail party at 4 o'clock to close out our conference for this year. So that's just a brief schedule. I hoped I went through it fast enough, but any thoughts, Eric, Lisa?
I just wanted to mention that I have gone through 12 JAMP treatment sessions myself, and they have literally changed the freedom at which I think. I probably had a half a dozen pretty significant OCD behaviors just to manage anxiety. They're all gone but one. And that one's only when I watch TV. So it really doesn't affect the rest of my life. It's just amazing at the rewiring and replacement and realignment of brain neuronal pathways that happen after such a few sessions, comparatively few sessions of this treatment. I went to 4 different types, no, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 5 different types of treatment for a period of about 7 years. It helped me. It helped me to develop new defenses, but in terms of the core of my thinking patterns, they really weren't changed much. So, and that was 7 years. So I think it's pretty amazing to compare 7 years to 12 weeks. It's just phenomenal. That's why I'm excited about speaking about it and what it actually does physiologically to your brain.
Mhm. Mhm. I think this, a lot of times our clients, with these long-term studies, I've also had clients who had short durations, and perhaps it wasn't for a monumental consideration of deep psychology work. This is a treatment. This is also good for people who just need a little bit of help in refocusing. If there is a temporary interim of something, of a dilemma or stress or a transition, it can be also for something that may not have been seated for as deeply or as long. And so this treatment is for all sorts of different client types. And I think come and find out, come and listen, and come and explore and gain an understanding, a little bit more understanding of how this can be used and beneficial. Again, it's not a treatment, which makes it, it's not a therapy, which makes it unique. It's a treatment. And it's designed with a termination point at some point, which is also is sensitive, like a therapy.
So it's so the distinction that we try to make between treatment and therapy, the distinction is that this treatment is, we could tell you exactly how long it's going to take from the get-go. We could tell you what you're going to receive in so many sessions. We could tell you if you do 12 sessions that you will get maximum benefit and the most of symptom relief. We'd like to say 100%, but we still haven't proven that scientifically, and we are working towards proving that the treatment within a set period of time relieves most of the symptoms. That's what we mean by 100%. But what we have seen is that we have numbers so far for 6 treatments and 5 measures. We have seen that we can tell you that it makes 45 to 50% based on self-reporting, based on the measures that we have been using. These are well-defined measures. We're using the ACE, which has been tested over 150,000 people. We use the post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic cognitive inventory, which has been studied for years and years and years on its efficacy. And we have a somatic scale, which is all about body aches, issues, pains, disturbances. So with these 3 measures, what we've done is we're going to present our first study of JAMP and its efficacy, and we're going to tell you the numbers that we have compiled so far at the conference. We're going to present the study, and we're going to publish it on our site, and we're going to put it on our site for all to read and go through it and see the numbers, and then we're going to publish it in journals. And we're working on expanding the study. We are working on making these. So far, we have 19 participants in the study. We're going to push that number up to 100, up to 1,000, as we collect more and more data to show the efficacy of this treatment. So this is an evidence-based treatment. This is not kind of esoteric type of treatment. What we have studied, what we know, and what we are studying, and what we're training, and what we're working with. We're talking about depth psychology. We're talking about psychological theory. We're talking about complexes. We're talking about triggers. We're talking about trauma. We're talking about treatment. We're also talking about processes, both neurobiological and psychic, that are happening at the same time, also somatic. So we're talking about all the different ways that we understand our mind, our body, how we understand our physical body and our physical brain, and how we understand it from a psychological perspective also. And how JAMP works with both. So Dr. Eric is going to talk about how the brain is affected during the treatment, and why it has the effects that it does, and why those effects help the brain, right? So these processes are studied. We're not sitting here talking about something that we're doing in our spare time out of our living room. This study, this treatment is life-changing for those who have gone through it. And that's why we want them to tell their stories. And that's why we're having them be our keynote speakers at this conference, because the keynote speaker should always be the person who experienced what the theory was. The theoretician could talk about it. I could talk about it all day, all night. I could make both Lisa and Eric go to sleep by the time I finish talking. But that just means that I know what I'm talking about. The client tells you if it works.
I'm glad you brought up, Dr. Lahab, the full understanding of what we're doing, because it is a combination of anecdotal evidence. Of course, that's important, but it's also,
well, the anecdotal is self-reporting, right?
yes, and the other half is experimental.
Yeah.
So we're combining anecdotal and experimental evidence together.
Yeah. I would say, I would put it in terms of, we are taking self-reporting, which is Dr. rightly so says anecdotal, which is self-reported change. And we are taking the unconscious change of what you're responding to from the measures that measure change, both psychically and physically. What are they measuring? So they're measuring change at an unconscious level, because when you answer the question, you're not being asked by me. You're being asked by you. You're reading the question, you're answering the question. I'm not asking you the question. If I ask you the question, then I change the question, because then it has meaning that I asked you that question. So each person does the measure on their own. We do not do it with them. And they fill out a measure every time they go through, before they go through the next treatment. So there's always a pre and post look at the treatment.
Glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Lisa, do you have any thoughts about?
I think I've said, come and find out. Bring curiosity, bring a friend, come find out.
And even if you can't do it physically, you can watch it on your own personal computer.
That's right. You can watch it on screen. You can watch it on iPad. You could watch it on. You can watch it on your phone. So it is available. Okay, so we are having a conference on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. It's starting on Thursday. It ends on Saturday. You could hook up with us on Zoom. You could hook up with us by coming here to Seattle. We will be happy to welcome you here. So for those who are joining us, we are looking forward to it. And for those who are thinking about it, you should definitely do it. We put up special rates for retirees or seniors and students. So it's $150 for 3 days. That's all meals are included, and then you have a couple of night galas. So I look forward to seeing all of you. Dr. Lisa, would you like to say anything to our?
We would love to meet you. Come on by.
Yes, I have people who wanted to meet you. They're very excited to meet both of you. They're excited to meet Dr. Eric and Dr. Lisa. They said they can't wait. I said, I can't wait to introduce you.
Especially Dr. Lisa.
Yeah, so
You know,
I cannot wait to see your adoring fans. They really want to see you. You guys have to, like, I don't know, you have to come with game. Okay. Dr. Eric, you want to say anything?
Just, I'm so glad that Dr. Lisa is back from outer space.
Yes, no, from space station. Not outer space. That sounds condescending. Space station. She was in space station with Russians. She needs to be questioned by NSA. Anyway, so with that, it was great to see everybody. And as we always conclude our podcast with the affirmation, I am not afraid.
I am not afraid.
And I'm not afraid.
We are not afraid, and we are the Institute for Conflict, and this is the IFC's Individuation podcast. And I want to thank everybody and see you next week at the IFC's conference. It's our third conference, the Mundus, the One World Theory, and the Inception of JAMP. We'll tell you how I came up with Inception. Well, it was through Christopher Nolan's movie, if you've listened to this podcast, but I will tell you more stories about Inception. Okay.
We've done that movie. We've done that movie on the podcast.
Yes, that's how I got the inspiration. Okay, we'll talk about Inception next time. All right. In a couple of weeks, we will be back with our regular scheduled episode of the IFC's Individuation podcast, and we'll be back with another story. All right. Take care, everybody.